Well, I think students are often interested in how what they study relates to what they like to call the real world. And this project is definitely an experience for our students from many fields, from architecture, from engineering, environmental sciences, politics, and other fields, to learn about the real-life complexities of trying to achieve something everybody wants. Everyone wants clean water. Why is it so hard for us to get there? So there are a lot of students who've been engaged in this project from its conception. There are almost 30 students involved at the very beginning, and by now we've touched hundreds of students with this project. So although I'm not aware of anything directed against Indian students at the university, there has been an increase in what we call hate crimes across the country. And I think our university's attitude has been, let's talk about it. And so there have been numerous discussions at the university and university-wide messages to discuss how important it is, if you witness an event like this, to report it. And we have a way to report it anonymously, either by telephone or by email. And let the university investigate it. If it does not rise to the level of a criminal act, it can at least result in a student having a serious conversation with a dean about why this behavior is inappropriate. And for the most part, our students don't want to behave inappropriately. Sometimes they don't know where the boundaries are. Sometimes they're simply acting out of ignorance. And I would say it's more out of ignorance than malice in most cases. I will just say that every university in the United States is required by law to publish statistics on crime involving their students. And anyone who's interested in coming to an American university can look for this report. It should be online. It's called the Clery Report. That's C-L-E-R-Y. That's the name of the law, is the Clery Law. And I think that you will find that while there is some crime, there is less at the university than there is in the surrounding community. And some communities are safer than others, just like some cities are safer than others. Charlottesville is in a very beautiful and mostly rural part of the country, and we tend to have a pretty low crime rate. Well, it is an important issue, and we recognize that the tuition is high. In part, we are required by the state government to have high tuition for people who are not from Virginia. And so actually the other 49 states also pay that high tuition. We do have some limited number of scholarships for foreign students. Students should ask about that and apply for them. We also have work available at the university, and international students are eligible for those work programs, some of which are unusual opportunities. So for example, Dr. Joni Kipnis in our medical school discovered that the brain has a lymphatic system, rated one of the 10 top science discoveries of 2015. Well, his laboratory has 12 undergraduates working in it. They're paid a salary, they get to work with him closely. They'll get a letter of recommendation for their first job from him. That's an unusual opportunity. Helps you pay for your education, but more than that, gives you a leg up on life after your education. We think that that kind of experience, which combines work at the university with your education, is one of the best ways actually to prepare yourself. And many of our students work in the city of Charlottesville surrounding the university, but we try to create a number of jobs actually at the university. And international students are qualified to compete for those jobs just like American students. Yes, so in the sciences, it is typical for a faculty member to seek funding from a federal agency. The largest agency supporting the university is the National Institutes of Health, which does research on, both basic and applied research on disease. The second largest is the National Science Foundation, which does basic science broadly defined. And there are some others, the Department of Energy, for example, does clean energy research. So that would be the biggest source, would be this federal funding. So a graduate student might have a fellowship for the first year, and then the second year might do either a teaching assistantship or a research assistantship. Both of those would cover tuition and also a stipend for living. But the research assistantship would be working with one of these funded professors. The teaching assistantship would be helping professors teach undergraduate classes. And then ideally by the fourth year, when you're writing the dissertation, you would again have fellowship support. So that would be the model in the STEM fields and in some of the social sciences as well. In the humanities, it's different. In the humanities, students are likely to be teaching assistants multiple years because there are a lot of students to teach, and also because there's not as much research funding available. Faculty in the humanities, if they have external funding, it is typically from a foundation, perhaps from the National Endowment for the Humanities, but a foundation would be more likely, and typically covers only the professor and not a whole staff of research assistants. So this year we'll have 124 countries represented in our student body, and it's very important for our students because they're going to work in a global economy, and they need to have the experience of interacting with students who come from different parts of the world and from different cultures. Indian students are now our second largest group of students from abroad. The Indian Students Association is our single largest student organization, and we have 800 student organizations. And so recently they held a cultural festival to help introduce Indian culture to students all over the university. They had 270 performers in this cultural event. And we always compete nationally in the United States in Indian classical dance. We have 2 Indian dance teams. They're very competitive. So I think it's been great for all of our students to see this level of engagement, and it's been great for our American students to learn about India this way.